video. Today, we're here under the bridge in Sheikh Zayed Road. You can see over there the Burj Khalifa. So we're on this area and we are doing our version of LRF or light rock fishing, and it's basically nothing but ultralight gear, and you're using very tiny jigs, soft plastics, tiny lures basically, and that's one right there. We've just actually caught a queen, and nothing big, but that's the aim of light rock fishing. Basically, you're just fishing for anything that'll bite, and on very light, small tackle using very light, small lures. Alright, so also you don't cast a lot. You can, but most of the time the fish are near structure, and we're just gonna drop the jig over to the side. Okay. So this combo has a 1000 size reel, and this is a power gear, and this rod is rated for 2 to 6 pounds or 0.3 to 0.8 line. This is actually an edging rod, and the weight on this is a maximum 10 grams. So quite a very light outfit, and all we do is actually work the lure slow. Hopefully we'll catch something. Now, it seems like there was only one fish here. But what we're going to do is we're going to try and cast our lure as close to those pilings as we can and fish them. I mean, this is structure fishing too, so even if it's in the distance, we'll try to get our lure as close to the structure as possible and then see if we can catch a fish here. Yeah, I'm with Wael, of course, Cousin Dan. Cousin Dan is on the camera. If you're new to the channel, this channel talks about the hows and whys of fishing. We cover everything from big game, ultralight, everything in the middle, including fly fishing. Today, we are ultralight fishing, or light rock fishing, our version, at least urban fishing here in Dubai. And yeah, we're fishing under the bridge, so what more could go wrong? If you are wondering what this lure is, this is a 5-gram Sea Falcon Z-Slow TG. Okay, this is a tungsten jig. Comes rigged, so when you get it out of the packet, you can immediately fish it. So we didn't modify this in any way. It is tiny and perfect for the type of fishing we're doing now. Way. So I cast the jig just a little to the left of the piling so that the current can take it to the piling. And when you start working it, it's closer to the piling. The fish are on the bottom, so we're gonna try and work it on the bottom. And since this is very light gear, I chose a PG instead of an HG, so that we're able to really work the lure as slow as possible. Remember, when you're dealing with really small, tiny things, like a fish like that doesn't move really fast. So this presents a better target to the fish. Now, above this, like a 2.5 and the bigger lures, I prefer a bit faster for the reel. So I'd go with an HG. Then for, of course, shore jigging, lure fishing in the 3,000 and above, I prefer XGs. Just so you'd be able to pick up the slack really fast. But with this one, we're constantly moving it. We're constantly in contact with the lure, so you don't need a fast reel. And you want to work this as slow as possible to cover the area as much as possible as well. So we're working the whole area from that piling all the way to the front right here. We're actually working it in increments, but we've pretty much covered everything. Now if it was an XG or an HG, we'd be skimming on top of it. So one of the reasons why this is a good idea, and we have a start. So that is a queenie right there, a very small one, but it's perfect for gear like this. Alright, so we need our hook remover, which is in the car. Oh. Actually, we have one here. Okay, so when you're doing this, especially with queens, it is a very good idea to alright, let's get this guy to calm down first. Alright, so it's a very good idea not to touch the fish. Just wiggle them off like that. Alright, so again, the fish are just close to structure, and in this case, it wasn't in the far area, it was actually just in front of us. So now that we know that they're there, what we could do is actually just drop this in front of us. Work it. This is good practice for slow jigging as well. This type of fishing, you can do metal jigs, you could do... Okay, another one. You could do metal jigs, you could do soft plastics, and small spoons. Okay, let's just get this guy to calm down. So we're gripping the body of the hook right there. Okay, so it's easy to shake them off. All we do, okay, so from there, okay, you just shake them off, and it's easy to just shake off the fish, and we're ready for another one. Now this is gonna be, if we catch another one, this is gonna be the third fish, and it's probably a good idea to check our leader. So what I'm doing is just dropping the jig on the bottom, jigging it up a few feet, okay, letting it drop, jig it up again, and I'm hardly reeling because it's actually kind of shallow here. Okay, so after a few jerks, I just drop it down, and then drop it down again. So if this spool has not moved away, we're just on the bottom. Okay, now we're not getting strikes. Just need to drop it down right in front, and the current's just going to take it there, but more than likely the fish is just milling around this area. This method is highly effective in a lot of places, and it's actually a very good way for you to just kind of like, take for example this day we were going to one spot and we weren't able to access the spot, just got a strike, and we came here and we're supposed to use this kind of wilds on. While it's not on. Alright, so it's dry. More than likely what happened was that they were near the structure and they followed, so what we do is just pass towards the structure again. Earlier today I actually caught one fish there. Well, we were just playing around. Actually kind of gave me the idea that to do this. We weren't supposed to film today. Might as well just check the leader to see if it's frayed or not. We're using 4-pound test fluorocarbon, and it looks good. There's no fraying or anything, so we can keep going. Oh, he's really on right now. Yep, that's a nice one. A bigger one. It's a queenie. Here's the top. Oh, it's a bigger one. Nice. Yay.
Alright, cool guy.
What are you using, Juan? Here. Oh, it's a jig para.
Yeah, I don't know how to use this.
Alright. Bring it up.
Sorry guys.
Oh, no, wait. I got it. There we go. Alrighty. So, there. That's it. Don't touch it, don't touch it. It has thorns. Alright, so, just... Alright, and that's it. Well done, Wild. And it was a bigger one. Where did it hit? Nice one. So if we actually catch something that big on this one, that'll be so much fun. Something that big on this. But that's kind of something similar, only longer. Now let's talk about color, because I know a lot of people are going to be asking, what color do you use? It's kind of a coincidence that Wild's also using the same color as I am, and this is red gold, or in Japanese they call it akakin. Aka, red, kin, gold. All right, now this color is particularly good in the morning and in the afternoon. Okay. But what's good about this is that if you look at the water condition that we have here right now, actually pretty bad. It's pretty stained. We're in an estuary. Before this was developed, this was actually an estuary with a lot of mangroves. You can still see over that side, there's still some mangroves growing. And usually around mangrove areas, you won't really get, especially if they're further inland where the water doesn't circulate that much, you'll actually find kind of swamp water. Okay, so dark. And the good thing about this color is that in water conditions such as this, which is heavily stained, it is still dark enough that it blends in, and just light enough that it kind of stands out. Okay, so that's something that you want, especially when you're fishing in water like this, is that the fish have to see it. But this color particularly is very good in sunrise and sunset, and this is why you'll see a lot of Japanese anglers use this color. Not so popular before here in the UAE, but it has taken off. But I've been using this color for years. Back in my trolling days, when I was younger, one of my favorite colors for fishing or using a Rapala CD18 was what's called the GFR, or gold fluorescent red. You know, and until this day, it's one of my favorite colors. Now, in a water system like this, where it actually is mostly flat, having a boat pass and do a little disturbance is actually kind of good. So when you have a boat pass in waters like this, if you're fishing, that kind of disturbance usually makes the fish a bit active. So when you're doing that, work your lure, or when that happens, work your lure a bit more aggressively than usual, and most of the time you'll actually get fish. Not always though. Well, what I'm doing here is actually just bouncing the bottom. Okay? Lifting it up a little bit and then dropping it down to the bottom again. Okay? Drop it down. See, even if it's a slow retrieve reel, it's still gonna take up a lot of line. Especially when you're fishing something like this, it's kind of we have a strength. Especially when you're fishing this place, it's shallow, and you're fishing in a matter of inches or centimeters really. And especially for small fish, when you're lifting it up, it matters so much. It's already a big distance for them. If we still won't get any bites, what we'll do is actually move and continue this adventure. The thing with queenfish, of course, is that when they're in the area, they're highly aggressive, and you'll see them when you're working, you'll see them. If you don't see them anymore after a few drops, it's probably a good idea to just move. Now, in our case, this place is so big, and it goes all the way. It actually slices, this place slices Dubai into half. So this whole area is called Business Bay, and obviously that's where the Burj Khalifa is, and it goes all the way around it. So it's a really a big area. I mean, we're not gonna walk that far, but for our case at least, we can have at least a kilometer where we can just walk and fish the sides. So this is one of the reasons why the government doesn't like people fishing this place. And this is the whole reason why this place is heavily monitored, is because people leave their trash and not pick up. And guys, really, if you're fishing in a place like this, please be clean. You know, leave the place cleaner than what you see. I mean, this is uncalled for, and this is really something that just winds me up really bad, because this is so unnecessary. If you have the capacity to take something like this here with you, you have the capacity to actually take it with you when you leave. It's unfortunate, it's really unfortunate, but you know what? I can tell you this, I'm not racist or anything, but there's only a few nationalities that would be doing this, and these guys are just dirty. If you look, there's trash cans that are actually placed in this area already, okay? Yet, these guys can't even do that. Can't just pick up their trash and put it where it belongs. They should go inside the bin. So, now here's a very odd technique, but sometimes it makes a difference. And it's kind of like an off-the-bat thing, but I learned this actually in freshwater fishing than saltwater, because it doesn't really happen that much in saltwater. See this bridge, okay? This bridge, and the sun's over at the other side. And what happens is that it casts a shadow, okay? And remember, here, the water is flowing from our left, going to our right, okay? That's very crucial. Now, if you look over a few steps from here, you'll find that the shadow of the bridge is also hitting the water. Now, naturally, what happens is that there's a dark side and a light side. And I bet you there's fish right at the border, because it's kind of like becoming an ambush zone. So for smaller bait fish, they have a hard time, or they take a longer time to adjust to the light conditions, and predators actually adjust faster. Okay, so let's try and see if we can catch a fish here. But just at the border, sometimes when that happens, you know, trees and other structure that actually cast a shadow, it's always a good idea to just fish the border. So right here, okay, my left is actually the dark side. And what we're gonna do is we are going to cast the jig up current and kind of just move it until it reaches the left side here. And most of the time, just at the border is when you actually get a strike. Now, I don't know if it actually works here, but definitely in fresh water, what do you know? It does. So yes, some things actually work as a standard. Oh, it's in my line. All right, so we have proper hook removers now. This is from Studio Ocean Mark. So you know, just like Taylor Swift, shake it off. That's simple. All right, now let's continue. I have to say this, you know, when you're fishing, you're always looking for that contrast, the light, the dark. Currents are the same. There's places where there's a break in the current, and you always fish in places where it's slower first, it's darker first. Okay? Majority of the time, it's in that break that you see, or you will find the fish. And this is one of the easiest things to do when you're fishing in fresh water, when you're fishing in salt water. You'll have, like, take for example, a structure that breaks the flow of the water. Cast in front or behind it. Never on the side, but in front and behind. That's where the fish are. Okay, now you heard me. Probably you'd be surprised when I said like cast in front. Okay, so let me explain. So the example. All right. Imagine this is a piling right here. Okay, the water hits the piling. Naturally, the fish would take cover at the back here because the current is disrupted. Okay, so that explains why the fish are at the back. But why are they up front? Believe it or not, the current in front also gets disrupted because the velocity of the current or the water hitting the wall, it actually pushes back. Okay, it pushes back with the same velocity. So it has kind of like an area here where if you measure it, the velocity of the water is slower than the full force. That's why the fish are there too, because they spend less energy being there than being in the current. Okay, so in the case of this whole light and dark thing, I've explained earlier that for predatory fish, they adjust to light faster than prey, bait fish. And what they do is they ambush where it's bright, and the bait fish that has not adjusted to the light yet are always going to stay in the dark edge. And that gray zone between the dark and the light, that's where they actually hunt. So when you're fishing at night, when you know you're fishing under the lights, don't put your lure near the light, but put it near where the light actually kind of fades. And this is exactly what we're doing here. Of course, our light source isn't a light bulb, but the sun. We caught a mohara, which is something that we catch with bait a lot, but not so much with lures. So the good thing about this sort of fishing, of course, is that you will catch a lot of fish that you normally don't catch. All right, now Also, the good thing about the Studio Ocean Mark hook remover is that it holds the hook securely without damaging the hook. So right now, I have like ample grip on that, and you can see that that hook is not moving, and it doesn't damage the hook. Alright, so what we do is just take it out here, and then shake. There we go, and you can see that it's holding the hook really well without damaging it. Okay, so that's the Studio Ocean Mark hook remover. This is the smallest one. It's HR130S. Okay, very lightweight as well. I just put it in my pocket, and I sometimes forget that it's here. And of course, this little wonder right here, it is the Sea Falcon Z Slow TG. Okay, so it's the Z Slow in tungsten and micro. And when you get this in the packet, it's exactly how you see there. It's already rigged with a very strong hook. This is the same hook that's used on the Pesce. And last time we caught a cow nose ray with the same hook, and it didn't bend. So yeah, these guys are great. Again, we're fishing the break of the light, and we caught it just where the light and the dark meet. Okay. Right now, one of the things you can do is actually cast it parallel to structure and then work it. Now, when you're working these types of jigs, a lot of people have a hard time. What are you going to do? Are you going to jig it? Are you going to what do you call this? Are you going to work it differently? Best way to work it is actually just like you're working a soft plastic, and you can't go wrong, you know? So this is a bit of a bigger one, so a tad better quality than the others, as you can see there. Okay, and yeah, with that technique that we're using, and all it is just casting parallel to structure, and what we're doing is just working it like a soft plastic. So, the good thing about this Studio Ocean Mark is that hook right there, okay, you just hook your line, and you go through, and most of the time, you'll get it to your jig. Okay, right there, see? Just like that. Okay? And then you just shake it off. That's it. Now, again, let's do that same thing. Okay, I'm going to show you exactly how I've done it. And it's just casting parallel to structure. Okay, and basically what we're doing is taking advantage of the length of the structure. especially with this, since we have a structure that's running kind of long, all we have to do is just fish that whole length. And again, we're doing the length, which is basically all of the structure. We're taking advantage of the shadow, and we're also fishing alongside the drop off. So we're taking advantage of three things. Has figured it out. He actually took one of the Sea Falcon TGs. Smart boy. But see, here's the thing. See, Wael has full access to whatever I take, right? And I don't tell him because I want him to learn on his own, just like out of initiative. So the biggest question is, if he has seen me catching fish around him the whole freaking time, why did it take him so long to actually just take one? Hard-headed students, what can I say? Whoa. Okay, so again, let's go to the shade. Lure. Okay, we're working it like we're working a soft plastic, which is slowly on the bottom. So if you're confused on how to work these jigs, especially these jigs that are kind of a cross between a fast jig and a slow jig, or it's something new to you, just do it like this, all right? Are familiar with working soft plastics, just work it like you would a soft plastic, and you'll be okay. Just like that. And again, that thing took just at the shadow. This is a quality fish. This is even bigger than the last one. So it's getting towards the time where it's not safe to bounce the fish up. All right, look at that. This thing gobbled that jig. All right, calm down, there we go. As you can see, it is faster doing it like that than what we did with the forceps. All right, let's get this fish back in the water. All right. So, I mean, all right. Let's teach Wael what we're doing so that he can enjoy this as well. And then let's see if someone other than myself could actually catch something, right? Because maybe I'm just doing something different, and that if someone else does it, it doesn't work for some weird reason. Now, this reel has a stand, and one of the purposes for this reel stand is when you put your reel like so, okay, that's how you avoid scratches. So this one takes the damage, and your lure or your jig is your reel is protected. Alright, So let's go and teach Wild. So Wild's using the same jig.
You're using my jig.
And unlike his teacher, he didn't rig this correctly. Alright, so
Man, I can't see much.
liars go to hell. Alright, so position it so that it sits out like that. Alright, so first thing we do is actually fix his rigging before we get him to catch something. A bigger one would have worked better as well. You know, so this is 5 grams and there's 10 grams there as well.
But someone told me to buy a 7-gram max rod. I don't know that.
Yeah. So this rod is max 7 grams. Alright, so what I just spoke to you guys about earlier, we're gonna teach Wild. Alright? And let's see if he can do it. I'm thinking he would. So this is just a uni knot. And then don't do that, kids. Don't do that. Just don't. Alright, so alright, Wild, come. So you stay in the dark side, okay? And then that's parallel. Okay? Here, let it sink. Now Wild's gear is a max 7 gram, 7'3" and 0.2 to 0.6 rod. And it's rated for 0.5 to 7 grams. So 5 grams is actually pretty good, but he could use up to 10 grams for this. Now, this is a fast reel. And how you slow it down is to not reel and just listen. Okay, watch. To not reel, because this is an HG, is to not reel and just use your rod, okay, like that, and then just reel up a tiny bit of slack, alright? And all you do, again, is just work it like you're working a soft plastic, okay? Now, for this particular way of working, you are just bouncing your rod tip quite slow, like that, okay? And then drop down to ensure that your bait or your jig is on the bottom. Alright, while you do this, that's it. All you have to do is just rinse and repeat. Okay, again.
Speed is a prototype.
Parallel up, let it sink. And sometimes when you let it sink, you already feel them. So tighten the line. Don't do anything yet, and then move it like that. Stop. Okay, just like that. And most of the time when you reach somewhere where the shadow, or you're close to the shadow, that's when they bite. Alright, again. also another tip that you should keep in mind. And this is the reason why I'm not casting far. You might be thinking like, why the hell isn't he casting? All right, now, if I'm casting, it's a game of numbers, okay? If I'm casting, and I'm casting, because we talked about the shadow, right? What if I cast and work the shadow from over there to over here? Yeah, but you lose the attraction of the structure that's immediately in front of you. So instead of actually working two factors, you're working just one. So you're actually diminishing your chances because you're working an area that's kind of only has one of the things that you're looking for. So the more things that are present that you know will hold fish. Like take for example, if there was structure underneath there, and we're working that's one. You know, if there's the shadow, that's two, and then there's this embankment that also acts as structure, and actually something where it also controls or shapes the water. Okay, the current. So you're dealing with quite a few things here, and we happen to know that the area immediately here is actually deeper than out there because the water that passes through here actually digs this channel more, and then the silt that forms actually gets pushed towards the middle. So we're dealing not with two things like we could see here, which is obvious, but we're actually dealing with three things that attract fish, which is the embankment, the drop, and then the shadow. Okay? The fourth factor, of course, would be the flow of the water, which is something that we're experiencing right now, and it's flowing from left to right. Okay? And this is the whole reason why we are casting towards the left, up current, and quite close, okay? Working it. So we're just casting from there, and we're working it all the way out here where the light breaks. Okay? So that's all I'm doing, guys. It's actually quite simple. Anyway, I'm really hoping that this is something that you learn from, and this is something that you can actually apply wherever you go. And whether it be fishing off the flats, fishing off rocks, just keep in mind of these conditions. Now, sometimes there's also areas where the water becomes muddy in one area and then quite clear on one side. It's the same principle as the light and shadow thing. And yeah, that's it. Anyway, we're gonna end this. It's getting warm, and we're probably gonna have breakfast somewhere. So yeah, just a quick one for you guys, and I hope you learned something. If you haven't yet, click on subscribe, give it a like if you learned something. Share, of course, if you have friends that need this sort of information. And that's it for now. I'll see you in the next one. Class dismissed.